Hello my sweet friends and welcome to Kinda Shabby. My name is Becky and I am so glad you stopped by. Today we're going to be creating 3 Coastal Cottage Decor pieces with a shabby chic twist. Well, there is lots of fun in store today, so let's get these projects started. For our first project, we are going to be taking this thrifted cabinet door and we're going to be turning it into a cute little tic-tac-toe board. I'm going to start by painting it with the color Elephant, and it is a Waverly Chalk Paint that I get from Walmart. And I did do a light sanding just to kind of eliminate some of that shine so my paint would adhere better to my surface. And now that our door has dried, I'm coming back over the top with the Valspar Weathered Crackle Glaze. And I'm just going to take my time and apply this in a nice, even fashion. A relatively thicker coat. That way I get good crackle. Now that it has been thoroughly coated with the crackle glaze, I'm going to set a timer for 1 hour, but you should follow the directions of whatever crackle medium you are using. And now we're coming back over the top with the folk art chalk paint in the color Patina. This is one of my favorite colors, and I just think that it is such a gorgeous beachy color. It's going to be perfect for this project. And when you're painting over the top of your crackle glaze, you don't want to overwork the paint. You want to get a good coat on there, but you don't want to go back and forth. So I'm just going to take a few minutes and paint over my crackle glaze with this gorgeous, gorgeous beachy color. And this is absolutely fantastic. Some of these are just teeny tiny little fine crackles, and then you've got some really big crackles, and then some places where it didn't even hardly crackle at all. That is just fantastic. So we're going to set this aside and let this dry thoroughly before we finish off our board. So while the other side of my board is drying, I'm going to be preparing my playing pieces, and I'm going to be using some casting resin. But if you don't have any of these, if you've got seashells that you collect, you could paint them different colors for each player. You could also do the same with some of these little glass pieces from Dollar Tree. Anything like that would be great for your tic-tac-toe playing pieces. Now these cute little molds were picked up from Michael's, and I think they're maybe like $6 or $8 for each one of these, and they could also be used with hot glue if you don't have any resin. And I'm going to be using this shell and the starfish for my pieces. And I'm also going to leave this laying out in case I've poured too much resin. I've got something that I can use in a later project. The amazing casting resin that I use is a beautiful white resin, and it sets up in 10 minutes. So it's really quick and easy to use. You have a side A and a side B, and you're going to mix equal parts of each of those into a different container. So I just took a Sharpie and I wrote A and B on my little measuring cups here that also come in your package. And then I'm going to pour the contents of each side A and side B into just an old laundry detergent cup. It's actually clean, never been used. And when you first pour it in, it is very milky, and you just want to stir for a couple of seconds until it becomes clear. And then I'm just going to pour it into my molds. There's just a teeny tiny bit left in there, so I'll make maybe some little sand dollars over here. And I'm just gonna let these sit for 10 minutes, and you'll know because they'll go from clear to white, and then they'll be ready to demold from your molds here. And you can see now they are all nice and white. So I'm just going to take my finger and very gently push these out. And look how cute that is. Cute little starfish there. After everything thoroughly dried, I put a couple of coats of this satin clear sealer on both sides of my board here. And I'm going to be using some of this thicker jute twine to actually glue down to make my board for my pieces here. I love this so much. This would be pretty if you put some hooks at the bottom. If you put this in a bathroom, you could hang towels from it, or you could put handles on there to make a tray. That would be beautiful too. So there's a couple of different ways that you could go with a pretty weathered door like this. So measuring the inside panel here, it is 9 3/4 inches both ways. So that means each of my zones here are going to be 3 1/4. So I'm just going to make a little mark with my pencil at 3 1/4. And with my grid all marked out, I can go ahead and start gluing down my jute. And I've tied a knot in the end so it doesn't come unraveled. And then just follow my lines and glue down my jute twine. And there is the little grid. I think that is really cute. And let's just put some of our pieces down here. I think that is just adorable. Well, let's move on to our next project. I love these sweet little driftwood sailboats. They're just so cute, and I think they're really perfect for that little cottage coastal look that we're going for, but I don't have any driftwood. So I'm hoping to be able to fashion the bottom of my boat from clay. So I'm just going to take some clay, kind of squish it around in my hands, and just really not even have any particular form. And I'll give you all the sizes for this in just a minute here. 8 inches long. And I've cut my sails here. This one is 3 by 5 3/4 by 5. And this one is 4 by 6 1/2 by 7 3/4. I picked up this little bundle of sticks from Hobby Lobby last year, and I'm going to use these for the mast of my sailboat. First, I'm going to glue these 2 little sticks together with some hot glue. Then I've got an awl and a piece of styrofoam because I don't want to mess up my surface here. And I'm just going to punch holes near the corners. And I'm just actually going to go through that. It's going to leave a hole. I'm going to do that here, here, and here on my other sail as well. I'm not gluing anything together yet. And I'm taking a needle threader and putting it through the hole so I can bring my crochet thread through there. So then I can just wrap this thread around a couple of times, tie it off. And then I can do the same thing and tie this down here. I think that's going to be cute. I'm going to put my pink mat back down because it's kind of hard to see my white sails on this white table. And just wrap each of these around a couple of times just to make sure it's not going anywhere. And then I can just tie it off and clip my threads. I'm then going to attach thread here and then just glue it down to the hull, so then my sail will stand out away from my little mast here. And I'm going to follow that same process and just tie on the smaller sail into place in that same fashion. And now I'm going to use some pieces of doily here to add a little bit of shabby chic to my sails. All right, that looks good right there. I'm just going to add some dots of glue and get this glued into place. So again, I'm just going to do some little dots of glue and get this side glued down as well. That is so cute, and that just really adds to that shabby chic cottage coastal look that I'm going for. So I cut out a triangle from some cardstock, and I want to make a little banner to go from top to bottom here. And I'm just going to cut 5 triangles out of my favorite little shabby chic fabric that I get from Hobby Lobby. So I'm going to take some more of that white crochet thread and I'm going to lay these out. So I'm going to run a small line of glue about 1/4 inch away from the edge and glue that to my crochet thread. And with those glued down, from the back side I'm going to fold this over and glue that as well. And then I'm going to go back and just trim off all of that excess fabric right there. And that's just going to clean up those edges really nicely. Oh, that's going to be cute. I think I do have too many on there. Yep, I'm going to take one of these off. And then I'm just going to pull some of these little threads here just to kind of shabby up those edges. So I'm pleased with how my little banner and my sails are looking. So we're going to go ahead and paint this, and I'm using the Waverly Chalk Paint in the color Mineral. Just a very nice, soft, neutral color. Now that this is dry, I'm going to be dry brushing on a little bit of the Cashew just to give it a little bit of dimension so it's not just one solid color. So then dry brushing that on, you can see it just adds a little bit of visual interest. I really like that. So we're going to let this dry and then we're going to assemble our little boat. So I'm going to put some hot glue down in there, also on my stick. I'm going to press and hold for a second until that glue sets up. So I'm going to put more of this yarn through these holes on the ends here. Knot here. Got a little knot tied there like that. And then I can glue that here to hold this sail nice and taut. And then after that glue sets up, I'm going to do the same thing to this other side here. I thought I had pushed record and I had not, so I just went ahead and just glued the rope at the top, made another knot and glued down there at the bottom, and that is just so stinking cute. Well, it's starting to get dark now, so we'll go ahead and do our next project tomorrow. So I'll see you guys in the morning. For our last project, we are going to be making a wood bead bottle tag. And I'm starting with this 2.5 inch little round wood circle that I picked up from Hobby Lobby. And again, we're using the color Patina on this little wood round. Just an all-around gorgeous color. And I am going to be painting both sides, so I'm going to set that aside and let that dry. And then I'm going to be taking my wood beads and my dark wax. I'm just using a paper towel, just wiping that on there, going all around my bead, and then just rubbing it in. Very, very pretty color. You can see the difference there. I love that. So I'm just going to take a few minutes and wax the rest of my beads here, and then we'll move on to the next step. Next, I'm going to be painting a couple of little pieces from this little mold here. To make it easier to paint those, I used some double-sided tape and just put a little bit on the back and stuck them to a piece of paper. That way I can paint them and they're not going to move around on me. And I'll be painting them in this beautiful soft pink color called Vintage Victorian. And you can already see just adding a little bit of color just starts bringing out all those details. So I'm going to go ahead and just paint the rest of all of my little sea creatures here. And now I'm going to take a little bit of white wax and rub it over my wood piece here. And that's going to help, first of all, seal and protect the paint. It just really slips into the areas left by the brush strokes from the paintbrush. I'm going to take just a tiny bit of the dark wax and rub it on there. And then wipe that off with my rag. And that just gives a nice little aged appearance there. I like how that looks. You can see it just adds a little bit of depth and a little bit of warmth to just that plain flat color. And now I'm going to do the same thing and use the white wax with a little tiny brush on these pieces here to get down into all of those little cracks and crevices. And I'm just going to very carefully wipe back these areas. Bring this back in. This is a thrifted curtain panel, but I think it kind of looks like it could be netting. I really like that. So I'm going to cut a little piece of this off. And cheesecloth would also work for this project as well. So I'm going to kind of crunch this up, just scrunch it up a little bit instead of pulling it flat across my little disc here. A couple little dots of glue to get all that glued down. Like that, and then I can come in and just trim off this excess. And I think those are all of the little sea creatures that I'm going to use here. And I like that layout. So I'm just going to go ahead and get all of that glued into place. I really like that. I think that's adorable. And then I thought some of these cute little pearls on here would kind of look like bubbles. I'm just going to put tiny little dots of glue and place the pearls in there. I like that. I love that little touch of shabby chic those little pearls add. How pretty is that? Well, I'm going to set this aside for just a minute, and then we're going to need our beads and some fine jute twine. And I have 13 beads here. I'm going to take a little bit of blue painter's tape and put it at the end of my twine to make it easier to get through the holes of the beads there. And then I'm going to thread on 12 single beads like this. And then we're going to do the 13th bead just a little different. And I'm going to put some more painter's tape on the end of the cut edge here. And then I'm going to put the two pieces together and thread them both through one single bead. They don't want to go through at the same time. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Bring this back in and pull these through. Now I'm just going to tie a knot in this and then clip these little threads. Then I'm going to put just a little bit of glue at the back of that knot. And there we go. How cute is that? And these look great on bottles. They look great on knobs and hooks. You can put them on tiered trays. I just love it. Well, now all I need to do is give you a closer look at how cute all of this week's projects turned out. Thank you so much for joining me today. It has been my pleasure to craft with you. Please subscribe for more kinda shabby, but always chic, crafty inspirations. And until next time, my sweet friends, be blessed.